When I produced the first version of destructive low kicks and knee attacks, little did I know the impact it would have on the martial arts community. It appears today everybody's an expert on low kicking. Muay Thai kicks, leg destruction, shin kicks, kicking the thigh area. But basically all you were getting is the low roundhouse kick below the waist level. And if you've seen my first video, you know that low kicking is much more involved than that. Now on the second volume, I want to get into advanced techniques involving the low kicks. Also, technique integration, how to use a low kick with other areas of fighting, such as ground fighting, combining them with hand techniques, and other kicking techniques as well. Kicking techniques that I covered in my video encyclopedia on effective kicking. What you also get is very interesting application footage and also exciting demonstrations on the power of effective low kicking. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this videotape. And with Volume 1 and 2, you will definitely become an expert on destructive low kicking and knee attacks. Before we get into the live application footage and instructional portion of the video, I want to show you several demonstrations on the potential power of low kicking techniques. What we're looking at here is a demonstration of the shin kick breaking the baseball bat. Please don't try this without proper training and consulting with an expert who can show you how to do this properly. This requires a lot of focus and attention. In this segment, I tried to work both right and left leg so that both sides of the body can be trained equally for a combat situation. You do not want to really favor one side because you may be attacked from many different angles. Here I'm going to demonstrate basically that the bat is not broken, that it is an authentic baseball bat, a Louisville Slugger. Now notice in this situation, I have two more students reinforcing the knees of the students holding the baseball bat. To further reinforce the reality of what's happening here, I rolled my pants up and will keep it up as I break the baseball bat. Better be careful with that area. That pieces may be flying. If there's one key point to this, it's the speed in delivering the low kick. There is some degree of conditioning involved, but the speed of the attack is critical. And the break. Now we'll take a look at it slowly in a time-lapse fashion. One thing to keep in mind is this was one baseball bat. I myself have personally seen attempts with 2, 3, and up to 6 baseball bats being broken with the human shin. Right before the impact, notice how the weight is also used, and then the break, and then the follow-through, of course. I've also heard of cases where the shin broke just as cleanly as the baseball bat, so again, please be careful. Now we'll get into application footage. Some of it you've seen on my knockout video, but used here to more clearly demonstrate low kicks, and also a lot of promotion test footage. Here you'll see the distancing that's necessary for proper low kicking. I'm making the readjustments, attempting the low kicks here, then landing precisely on the point to take down the opponent, thus ending the fight here. In this next segment, I want you to keep in mind of the exchange of techniques going on as we hit the edge of the mat. And combining, again, notice integrating the low kicks, uppercuts, with both legs to the inside and the outside of the thigh. You can see each time the opponent raising his knee in an attempt to block. A couple of flurries between both right and left leg low kicks. Again, working the uppercuts in there, blocking and countering, and using the low kicks. Here you're going to see a combination where I set up with a low kick, punch, and then high kick. So again, what was very important there was the integration of low kicks into the combinations. Here you can see how very intimidating the low kick is. You see the opponent on the right, his stance very wide open, which is typical of a lot of traditional styles. They keep a very wide stance and long stance, which keeps their front leg susceptible to the low kick. Here you can see almost taking out the knee with the low kick, thus ending the fight in this situation. Now, as you'll notice here, what's probably more humiliating than losing to the low kick or several low kicks is what the coach does to his fighter after losing. Now you can see the decision being given to the fighter who was much more thorough in his low kicking effectiveness. And as the fighter limps off, again, what's more humiliating is being smacked by your own coach. As I usually tell my students, it's not so much what you know, but what you don't know that can hurt you on the street or in the ring. Here we'll get into some promotion test footage. Now, all the fights you'll see here occurred after at least 2 hours of testing. So these students have already trained for 2 hours before they went into their sparring. You'll notice here how the low kicks work into the different punches and kicks. It's very difficult to work upper and lower body. But you notice here that even though with maybe 6 months to a year of training at my school, these students have started to thoroughly put together some pretty decent combinations. And again, remember, after at least 2 hours of promotion testing, doing the basics, katas, and self-defense techniques. You'll see some very effective low kicks in there, worked with some body punches. We try not to go to the face. Sometimes we do. We fake and use the palm heel to the face area, but we avoid that for obvious reasons. Very tough fighters. And again, here's the next match of the promotion test. Again, just keep in mind how the more effective fighter utilizes the combinations and integrating the low kicks with the rest of the techniques. Almost a knee kick there. Low kick, taking the opponent off balance. High kick combinations. Low kick. You'll see a lot of charging in and grabbing. That's where the grappling techniques would come in. Elbows, knees also, and headbutts. Now, even though there's a rule structure here, you have to remember that if you can't do this, you probably can't use some of the, quote, deadly techniques that you usually see around that people say they use at their schools. So this is really a good gauge of testing an opponent's ability, a student's ability to utilize techniques. That's why I'm a strong advocate of sporting type competition in the combat area, but at the same time you have to keep in reality the street effectiveness of techniques. You notice here as they spar, I use the motivational staff, the shinai, that we use quite often in my training with my instructors. And the sign of respect after the match. This situation here is a very unique one. The student on the left, who's going for his belt, he'll be fighting 3 times here, again after almost 2.5 hours of promotion testing, has an artificial hip. So what was the main concern was the flexibility area. So you notice here how he utilizes a lot of low kicks, front kicks, low roundhouse kicks, and a lot of hand combinations. Again, the student with the blue belt has a slight disadvantage because of the flexibility area for obvious reasons, the steel rod hip, so that he must concentrate on kicking below the belt. Of course, what's difficult is his opponent has a good, thorough understanding of low kicking and combinations also. So please keep that in mind as well. I'd have to say he put up a really good fight in order for his next belt promotion. Sometimes these guys go through at least 3 hours of grueling training for their belts and testing. This is his second match. Notice a very limited rest period in between. Again, watch the integration there. The low kick was not rechambered properly, so he was almost caught off guard and thrown off balance. Lead leg front kick, and then followed by low kick. Notice the adjustments that are made there. He telegraphed that back kick, and the blue belt closed the gap and threw him off balance. Now we're looking at hand combinations followed by a low kick. Again, very smooth integration there. Now one thing you have to keep in mind, these students are conditioned to take low kicking. You'll see further on in this video how to condition yourself against low kicks. That's a very valuable point here. As you notice, he thought he got off a little easier, but he still has one more fight against me for his belt. Again, incredible determination here after almost 2.5 hours of testing and then going into 3 fights. And this was just from blue belt to yellow belt. Notice how I just easily try to put the combinations together, not over-exaggerating the techniques, picking the openings with uppercuts followed by low kicks, knee kicks, attempted a takedown there, sprawled, and then followed up with hand techniques. Although I know his steam was out at this time, I wanted to push his spirit, which is the most important thing in martial arts training, his spirit and determination to continue. In this next segment, I want you to keep an eye on the very big and imposing white belt that you'll see on the right of your screen as we pan over. Right there. Notice the very linear attacks he has. He just threw the student off by grabbing his leg, charging in. This type of attack you'll probably see very common on the street. Somebody using his size against you. Now, in this next scene, you'll notice how the low kick can be used. Watch here carefully as he's charging in, trying to diffuse the effectiveness of the opponent's punches and kicks. As he puts his weight on one leg, you can see the low kick right to the knee area, causing a dislocation. Notice here again, as he's about to charge in, the weight goes on the front leg, and then the low shin kick being thrown to the knee area. Very, very little power was used in here. It was perfect timing and setup. This is the moment the dislocation occurred and then the fall. The only problem here now is the larger student knows how to use low kicks too, so he's not somebody I would want to mess with on the street. Now, before we get into the instructional portion, I just want to show you a little bit how we work on integrating the techniques. The following section, advanced training and technique integration, we'll get into combining low kicks and high kicks, knees, hand techniques, and so forth. Here you can see just a basic freestyle approach to bag work working on the various techniques. Spinning kicks followed by low kicks and hand techniques, jumping kicks, knees, elbows. You can even expand on it. Elbows, headbutts. It's up to you. The key is a smooth transition between techniques. What I want to cover here is basically the striking area with the knee. I want to elaborate a little further on knee kicks specifically. Here you'll notice the proper striking area, which should be at the knee. You do not want the leg just dangling as you see there. You want to bring the bottom leg back so that it can't be grabbed. Notice the lower X, the shin or the leg is away from the opponent now, exposing the knee even further by the top X. We're used to knee attacks going straight in and roundhouse, but here's an interesting variation, is striking off to the sides with the knee, using the outer and inner portions of the knee area. This could be a very sneaky knee attack in fighting. Now we'll look at combinations of knee kicks, starting with the lead leg straight knee kick and the reverse leg straight knee kick. Again, lead leg and reverse leg straight knee kicks. Downward, exposing the proper area of the knee, and then following up with proper hip action into the extension. You'll see that more clearly here from the side. Lead leg and reverse leg straight in knee kick. Notice the hip action involved when I kick with the rear leg. I really get that hip in forward into the stepping action. Again, lead leg and reverse leg, toes down, heel back, almost kicking the buttocks when you apply the knee kick. The next combination, lead straight, back leg roundhouse knee kick. Lead leg straight knee kick, back leg roundhouse knee kick. Again, proper foot positioning, toes down, and hip action. Lead and reverse. Lead straight, reverse round. Lead straight, reverse round, step. Lead straight, reverse round, step. This lead leg knee kick can be a very sneaky kick on the inside. The range of motion is short, but you're using your hip action to create power. Now we're going to look at a lead leg roundhouse knee kick and a back leg straight knee kick. The permutations and combinations are literally endless, especially when you start adding in low kicks and other techniques. So lead round, back, straight. As we watch from the side, you'll notice the weight shifts slightly onto the rear leg as I throw the lead leg roundhouse knee kick, then followed straight up with the straight leg knee kick from the back. So roundhouse and straight in. I'm also exaggerating slightly with the shoulders and the arm movements here to show the whole body action that's involved. Now we're looking at a lead leg roundhouse and a back leg roundhouse knee kick. Notice how I try to use very wide arcing movements in my kicks, almost as if I'm throwing a roundhouse kick. This emphasis on form in your training is going to make your fighting kicks much more effective, even though they're cut down a little bit in motion. Because obviously when you kick faster, the form may be sacrificed slightly, so you want to emphasize form in training. The next is a combination off the lead leg only. Straight and roundhouse knee kick off of one leg. Now, part of the drill is the stepping motion. After I throw the two kick combination with my lead leg, I step forward, setting up the opposite leg as the lead leg. So lead leg, step, then lead leg again. So left lead leg, straight and round, right lead leg, straight and round. You can also use a hopping in action as I did there. Now what I'm showing here is freestyling the techniques. So what you want to do at the beginning of your workout when working on low kicks and knee attacks is set up a structure of combinations starting from simple to advanced, then working combinations with lead leg and reverse leg and both combinations off of one leg. And then from here freestyling the techniques. Here I'm working on the various angles of attack with the lead and reverse leg. Adding footwork in there, switching, skipping in, as I covered in my karate boxing connection footwork segment. Now starting to add some low kicks and shin kicks in there. So you can see the progression here. This is the stuff that's left out of a lot of training videos, is the progression to mastery. Now we're looking at a very vulnerable area above the ankle, the inner portion of the shin bone. There's two bones going up that bottom portion of the leg, and they can be broken very easily when there's weight on your opponent's leg and you attack in this fashion. Here I'm using the instep. The shin can be used, the inside crescent, the edge of a very hard shoe, etc.
Here, where we're going to be attacking, okay, in this situation, is right above the ankle. Everybody understand? This is going to be the striking area here. This can cause direct damage to the leg. It can also sweep the opponent's leg right out if you keep this position here. Everybody see that? So the way we're going to practice that here is just to get an understanding of the distance, okay, that's involved in this position here. First one I want you to practice is with the left foot forward, just a basic low roundhouse kick to the inside of the leg. Okay, one count, motion. 1, 2, 3. Everybody understand? Next switch, right foot forward from this position here with the lead leg. One count, one motion. 1, 2, 3. Right? Least body movement as possible. From this position here, and you attack right away. You understand? From this position here, right away. If you kick too hard, you can feel the power of this movement taking out the lead leg. You understand? Next one, third, is one count, two kicks. From this position here, I count 1, 2 kicks from this position here. You understand? Let's give it a try. Stand up straight. Okay. Back line, right foot forward, fighting stance. Okay. 5 times slowly, 1 count, 1 kick. Ready? And go. Hands up. E. Jump. G. Go. Good. Now, front line, switch your feet. Lead leg, roundhouse kick to the inside of the thigh. Ready? And go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Now, 1 count, 2 kicks. Everybody understand? Okay. Here in the second one. 2 times slowly first. Ready? I go. 1.
This next segment of the video, I'll be covering a lot of the partner drills and pad drills that I use in my class so that my students can improve their low kicking ability.
Next one. In this position, left foot front fighting stance. Okay. Now you hold the shield right over this way. Okay. Now from this position, 1 count, 1 kick. Second count, 2 kicks. Third count, 3 kicks. From this position, I say 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's try it. Let's face each other, left foot front fighting stance. Ready? 1 count, 1 kick. Second count, 2 kicks, all the way up to 6. The idea is when you kick, try to bring back the foot here, but don't drop all the way back. Ready for the next kick. You understand? Okay, let's go. 1.
The point I'm making here is that speed is of utmost importance. When retracting the kick after it's executed, it's critical that you maintain proper balance and foot position when you're throwing these high-speed combinations. It's a good endurance drill also.
Next pad drills, face each other, left foot front fighting stance. Okay, from this position here, you're going to change the angles, okay, and weapons. Low roundhouse kick to 1-2 punch. Low roundhouse kick, 1-2 punch. Okay, everybody watch. In this position here, I go 1, kick, bring the leg back, then 1-2 punch. Kick, 1, 1, 2. Kick so that you're going to